All right, let's dive in. Today we're taking a closer look at the XDC network.
XDC Network.
Yeah.
Interesting choice.
Have you heard of it?
I have, yeah. It's been making some noise lately.
Yeah. And that's what we're going to get into today. I mean,
Yeah.
XDC network, you might think, okay, is that some new altcoin I need to know about?
Mm.
But what if I told you that this network is trying to bridge that gap between blockchain and everyday life?
That's the holy grail, isn't it? I mean, everyone's kind of looking for that.
Exactly.
That use case that brings it to the masses.
Yeah. And the analysis we're looking at today, it paints a pretty bullish picture.
Uh-huh.
So we're going to really kind of unpack why there's so much excitement around this network.
I'm right.
What experts are predicting for its future.
Okay.
Just to kind of give you a little taste of what's to come.
Right.
We're going to be talking about things like XDCScan and how that launch is a big deal. And, you'll see how it connects to some names you might already know, like Ethereum and Solana.
All right.
But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's kind of set the stage here.
Okay.
What does XDC currently look like in the market?
So right now, XDC is trading around $0.04159, which is up almost 4% in the last 24 hours.
Wow.
It's got a market cap sitting at over $621 million. With a daily trading volume of about 24.82 million.
Gotcha. So those numbers might not mean a whole lot to our listeners just yet.
Right.
But they'll give us some really good context as we start to really unpack why XDC is generating so much excitement.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so we got the numbers. Yeah. But what's the story behind the numbers?
Sure.
What is driving all this buzz and this bullish sentiment that we keep hearing about?
So a lot of the excitement is coming from this idea that XDC is committed to being an enterprise-grade blockchain. And I think one of the things that is getting a lot of attention is this launch of XDCScan.
Okay.
You can almost think of it like Etherscan, but specifically for the XDC network.
Yeah.
And what this does is it makes tracking transactions, auditing, smart contracts, all that stuff so much easier for developers.
Right.
And when you make things easier for developers, you get a lot of growth, a lot of adoption.
Exactly. Yeah, it makes sense to incentivize those developers, right?
Absolutely.
To kind of get them on board. And if it's easier to use than some of the other platforms out there,
makes sense.
Then it's a no-brainer.
For sure.
But what about, for me?
Yeah.
What about for the average person? Is there anything about XDC that would make me go, ooh, I want to get in on that?
Absolutely. So it's not just focused on developers. It's trying to build an entire ecosystem that can impact everyone. Right. And one of the areas where it's doing that is with something called DePIN.
Okay, DePIN, what is that?
Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Networks.
Oh, okay.
So you can kind of think about it like, imagine using blockchain technology to manage physical things in the real world. We're talking about like supply chains, energy grids, even verifying the authenticity of goods that you buy.
Wow.
That's the power of DePIN, and that's one of the areas where XDC is trying to really excel.
So XDC wants to revolutionize not just digital transactions, but how we actually interact with the physical world as well.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a whole other level of blockchain integration.
It is, and if you really start to dig in, you realize that this is more than just hype. Like, XDC is actually being used in the real world already.
Right.
It's powering payments, decentralized finance, even NFT projects.
So it's got that tangible utility. It seems to be developer-friendly.
Yeah.
It's got the potential to disrupt entire industries with this DePIN thing. I'm starting to see why people are so excited about this.
Yeah, and you haven't even mentioned cross-chain compatibility yet.
Oh, right. Tell me about that.
So XDC integrates with both Ethereum and Solana.
Okay, now why is that a big deal?
Well, right now, the blockchain world is very fragmented. You've got all these different networks, and they're all kind of operating on their own.
Yeah.
What XDC is trying to do is build bridges between these ecosystems.
So instead of competing, they're choosing to collaborate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Interesting.
So by integrating with these big players like Ethereum and Solana, they're making the whole blockchain world more interconnected, more versatile.
Okay.
And that's really the key to getting to mainstream adoption.
It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to get a much clearer picture of what they're trying to do, what their potential is.
Yeah.
But for someone who, let's say they're listening to this and okay, I kind of want to dip my toes in the XDC waters.
Right.
Where can they even buy this token?
Sure. So it's not on the big exchanges yet, like Binance or Coinbase, but it is available on a number of other really good exchanges.
Okay.
One that comes to mind is KuCoin.
Okay, I've heard of that one.
Yeah, so KuCoin is known for being really user-friendly.
Right.
They offer a wide range of cryptocurrencies, including XDC, and they have a good reputation for being accessible, even if you're new to crypto.
So if someone's a little hesitant to kind of jump into this crazy world of crypto exchanges,
Right.
KuCoin's a good place to start.
Yeah, they've got lots of tutorials. Their platform's easy to use.
Okay, good to know. I'm writing that down.
All right.
KuCoin, so we've got accessibility, but what about the value?
Okay.
I mean, we talked about the current price, the market cap,
Yeah.
but what's the analysis saying about the future potential here?
All right. This is where it gets really interesting.
Okay, let's hear it.
So experts are predicting some pretty significant price movements for XDC
Okay.
in the short term, midterm, and even the long term.
Oh, give me some numbers. What are we talking?
So in the short term, meaning like the next 10 days or so,
Okay.
some analysts believe that XDC could reach between 0.05 rounders and 0.51 rounders.
Right.
Looking a bit further out, maybe 3 to 6 months,
Okay.
we're seeing projections more in the 0.070 to 0.5090 range.
Wow, those are some pretty optimistic projections.
They are.
But long term, could this really become like a major player in the blockchain space?
Well, if this adoption keeps growing at this pace,
Yeah.
and if they keep delivering on their promises,
Right.
some experts believe it could reach $0.15 to $0.20,
Whoa.
or even higher in the next 12 months or so.
Okay. That's a pretty significant jump from where it's at right now.
It is.
But before anyone gets too excited, we need to remind everybody that these are just predictions.
All right.
This is based on current trends. This is based on analysis.
Exactly.
This is not financial advice.
Do your own research.
Always do your own research.
Absolutely.
But, I mean, it's pretty compelling, right?
It is.
Everything we've talked about, these predictions, I'm definitely interested to learn more.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll unpack what all of this means for you
All right.
and what you should consider if you're thinking about maybe adding some XDC to your portfolio.
Sounds good.
Stay with us.
All right. One thing that I find really interesting about XDC is it's their approach to scalability.
Okay.
It's designed to handle a large volume of transactions,
Right.
which is important for any blockchain
Makes sense.
that wants to be used for real-world stuff.
Yeah. I mean, if you're talking about using it for supply chains
Exactly.
or financial transactions, I mean, it needs to be able to keep up
Yeah.
with that demand.
It has to be able to keep up, and
Yeah.
that's where their consensus mechanism
Right.
comes in.
Now, I've heard other blockchains talk about proof of stake.
Yeah.
What makes XDCs different?
So they use delegated proof of stake, which is known for being very efficient
Okay.
and very fast.
Right.
But XDC uses a select group of masternodes to validate these transactions, which really makes sure that it's secure and fast.
Okay.
And on top of that, it's also designed to be energy efficient.
Which is becoming more and more important
Absolutely.
as we become more aware of the environmental impact of all this technology.
For sure.
Okay, so that could be a selling point for sure.
Yeah.
Especially for the investors out there who are a little more environmentally conscious.
Absolutely.
But let's get back to those price predictions for a sec.
Okay.
You mentioned that some experts are thinking XDC could see some pretty significant gains, short-term, mid-term, long-term. What's driving that bullish sentiment?
So one thing is this potential for developer migration.
Okay.
We talked earlier about how they've made it easier to build on their platform.
Right. With XDCScan.
Right, with XDCScan, exactly.
Cross-chain compatibility.
Yeah, and so what this is doing is it's attracting developers from these other ecosystems.
Like Ethereum, Solana.
Yeah, exactly.
Who are looking for something that's more efficient.
Right.
Cost-effective.
And faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a brain drain, but in a good way.
It is. It is.
Right, they're bringing their
bringing all that talent,
their knowledge,
yeah,
to a new platform that they think has more potential.
And that creates excitement.
Yeah,
which usually leads to price appreciation.
Right, because if you have all these talented people, building on top of this thing, then other people are going to take notice.
That's right.
Now, what about institutional adoption?
Okay.
Are we seeing any big companies, organizations?
It's still pretty early, but there are some encouraging signs.
Okay.
Because XDC is really focusing on these enterprise-grade solutions.
Right.
Security, compliance, all that kind of stuff.
They want to play by the rules.
Yeah, and that's really appealing to businesses that are kind of dipping their toes in the water.
Yeah, they want to make sure it's legit.
Exactly.
Before they jump in.
Right. And they've actually already partnered with a few companies and finance and logistics.
So it's not just like theoretical potential.
No.
We're seeing actual adoption.
It's happening right now.
That's cool.
Yeah, so as more companies start to see the benefits of this technology, and XDC continues to build that reputation as being reliable, scalable,
Right.
I think we're going to see a surge in this institutional adoption,
Okay.
which would just be huge for the
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together.
Yeah.
You know, the technology, the ecosystem, the partnerships, the actual use cases.
It's all connected.
It's really interesting.
Yeah.
But let's break it down even further.
Okay.
You know, you mentioned short-term, mid-term, long-term.
Yeah.
What are some specific things that are influencing each of those timeframes?
All right. So in the short term, a lot of it comes down to market sentiment.
Okay.
Right? Like, what's the feeling? What's the momentum? Right now, there's a lot of positive energy around XDC because of all the stuff we've been talking about.
Yeah. All the recent developments.
Right. And if that continues, we could see the price just keep going up as more people get on board.
So the more people believe in it, the more likely it is to go up.
Yeah, kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right, right.
But it's important to remember that sentiment can change very quickly.
Oh, yeah.
It's a fickle thing.
Okay.
All kinds of things can affect it, like news events, social media, even just the overall mood of the market.
So you got to be careful. Play it smart.
Absolutely.
Short term, you never really know.
Yeah.
What about midterm then?
All right. So midterm, I think the focus is going to shift more to actual adoption.
Okay, so can it deliver?
Yeah. Can they show that they can really solve real-world problems?
Prove it.
Prove it, exactly.
Okay.
And this is where DePIN becomes a big deal.
Yeah.
If they can be the platform
For
DePIN, that's going to unlock a ton of value, and that will definitely drive the price up.
It all comes back to DePIN.
In a lot of ways, yeah.
Yeah, it's really fascinating.
It is.
So long term,
What
could that look like?
Sky's the limit, right? If they can become that go-to platform for businesses, and if this whole DePIN market takes off, like people are predicting, we could see them become a major player in the global economy.
Wow, that's a pretty bold statement.
It is.
But I have to admit, the more I learn about this, it's starting to sound more and more possible.
It is. It is.
Okay, so before we wrap up,
Yeah.
let's talk about those price predictions again. You said, 15 cents, maybe even higher in the next year or so. But what are, like, the resistance and support levels we should be looking at?
Okay, so based on what we're seeing right now, those key resistance levels are 0.045. And 0.05 cents.
Okay, so those are prices where we might see things slow down a little.
Yeah, that's where there might be more selling pressure.
Okay.
Which could slow it down or even reverse the trends.
Okay, and so if they break through those levels...
If they break through, that's a really good sign. That's very bullish.
All right.
And then on the other side, we have these support levels, which are 0.040 and 0.035. And these are prices where there might be more buying pressure.
So that could kind of prevent the price from dropping too much further?
Yeah, it's like a safety net.
Right.
But remember, technical analysis.
This is just one part of it.
This is just one piece of the puzzle.
Right.
You also have to consider all these other factors.
All those fundamentals we've been talking about?
Yeah, the adoption, the development, how the market's feeling overall.
This has been incredibly insightful.
I'm glad to hear.
I feel like I have such a better understanding of XDC.
Awesome.
And what makes it tick.
Yeah.
And you know what to look out for.
And remember, the most important thing is to do your own research. Have informed decisions.
Yes.
That's the key.
Couldn't agree more, but I'm definitely curious about this XDC.
Yeah.
I want to learn more.
It's a really cool project.
Yeah.
Definitely one to watch.
So before we get too carried away, let's kind of recap what we've talked about today.
Okay.
We've gone over a lot: their technology, scalability, their approach, the focus on these real-world applications, the potential of DePIN.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
We've also talked about how people are feeling very bullish about it.
Yeah, very optimistic.
What's driving those predictions? What are the risks? What are the challenges?
We can't forget about those.
We can't. And,
do your own research.
Exactly. Do your own research.
Make good decisions.
That's it.
Okay, so before we sign off,
I
want you to leave our listeners with one final thought.
Okay, so XDC is at a really crucial point right now.
Okay.
They have the potential to change a lot of things.
Okay.
To become a major player in the global economy.
Right.
But whether they can do that It all comes down to execution.
Yeah. Can they pull it off?
Can they make it happen?
Can they get the developers?
The users, yeah.
Okay.
And can they keep up with this crazy world of blockchain?
That's a great point to end on.
Yeah.
So to all our listeners out there,
Yeah.
stay curious.
Informed and tuned.
Because this is just the beginning.
It's just the beginning.
We don't know what's going to happen.
Of this story.
Yeah.
It's very exciting.
It is.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It was fun.
Into the XDC network.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time. Happy exploring.
See you later.
All right, so we've covered a ton about XDC.
We've gone deep.
Real deep, but I'm thinking, what about the long game?
The long game.
What's their roadmap look like? Any red flags we should watch out for?
Smart questions, because bullish doesn't mean no risks.
Exactly.
One thing they keep talking about is expanding that developer community.
Right, we talked about XDCScan,
Yeah.
making things easier.
It helps.
But is that enough to, really draw in the talent?
It's a start, but XDC knows they need more.
They're doing partnerships with universities,
Smart.
hackathons, even grants for cool projects built on XDC.
So it's about, building the community, not just the tech.
It's all connected.
Okay, but challenges. Got to be some.
Oh, there always are.
What could hold them back?
Competition, plain and simple.
Right. Makes sense.
Blockchain's crowded, new players all the time, some going after the same businesses as XDC.
Right. Same niche.
Others have a head start, bigger communities already.
So XDC can't just keep up. They got to be better.
They got to be out in front.
What makes you confident they can do that?
Track record, for one.
Okay.
Consistently hitting their roadmap goals.
That's good.
Partnerships with big names.
Yeah, we talked about those.
And this bullish feeling. It's not just hype.
Yeah.
Investors see the real world stuff happening.
Okay, so there's substance.
There is, but got to be realistic. No investment is risk-free.
Crypto especially.
Volatile, for sure.
But for someone looking long-term.
XDC makes a strong case.
Okay, so our listeners be with us this whole time.
Hopefully.
Maybe they're excited, maybe they're not sure yet. What's the one thing they should remember from all this?
XDC is at a turning point.
Okay.
Foundations laid, now it's about going mainstream.
Next step.
Huge. If it works out, who knows how high it could go, but that's still to be determined.
I'm hearing that, but also got to do your own research.
Absolutely. Don't just take our word for it.
Never.
Dig into their white paper.
Yeah.
Check out those partnerships.
KuCoin.
KuCoin, yeah. See what the community's saying.
Okay, informed decisions.
Always.
Man, this has been quite the deep dive.
It has.
The pin, changing the world, developers flocking in, these huge potential gains.
A lot to take in.
XDC is definitely one to watch.
There's no doubt about it.
That's what I love about blockchain. Always changing, full of surprises.
And opportunities.
Right. XDC is just one story.
So many out there.
Stay curious, everyone. Keep learning.
Maybe you'll find the next big thing.
Before anyone else. Thanks for joining us on this journey exploring the XDC network.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, happy exploring.